Hello, today I will be presenting to you my entry for the MATLAB programming contest. The name of my project is the MATLAB OpenStreetMap Path Generator. My goal for this project was to experiment with MATLAB to handle large quantities of data in a meaningful way. For that, I used OpenStreetMaps. OpenStreetMap is basically an open source map that anyone can look at or change. It is for that reason that I use OpenStreetMaps in my project. It provides me a large source of data to analyze. So now I'd like to show you my program. What it does is it generates a path from a point you give it to return back to the given point. This point is in fact a point on OpenStreetMaps. Now let me show you how it looks. So you start it and then you enter a point in latitude and longitude coordinates. Afterwards, you enter a distance. The program will try to get a path as long as the distance provided. You can now see the expected output. During the course of this contest, I used an external library called geodesics on an ellipsoid of revolution, written by Charles Carney. This code was released under the BSD license. The function that I used from this library was a function that calculated the distance between 2 points on an ellipsoid. You gave these 2 points in the longitude and latitude format. I also used the data provided by OpenStreetMaps. Copyright is held by the contributors to the project, and it's licensed in the Open Database license. Over the course of the project, there were a few challenges: handling large amounts of data, people, and time. Handling large amounts of data was not surprising at all because the whole point of the exercise was to handle large amounts of data. Unfortunately, people were also a challenge. I had a partner and things just didn't go well, and eventually the team fell apart. As a result, time in the contest had passed and I needed to cut the scope of the project. The process that I followed was to find a suitable data subset. OpenStreetMaps is large, we couldn't use it all. Then we had to decide what to do with the data. I decided to make a path generator. Then we took a function by function approach to build a solid foundation on which to build even more of our program. As a result, we had a few milestones that you can see here. Here's the main function. Basically, it takes the input, cleans it up, makes sure it's in the proper domain, then it calls all the other functions. I would like to bring your attention to the create roadmap function. Basically, what this function does is it loads the map that we had loaded earlier, and it strips it down to just the nodes and ways that are part of roads or footpaths. Initially, this function had lots of loops embedded in each other. The reason for this, not only was it loops, but MATLAB is an interpreted language, thus iteration is pretty slow. With the help of Adam, thank you, I was able to vectorize the code and thus increase its speed 1,000-fold. I used such functions like find, unique, isMember. And not only was the code faster, but it was easier to read. Another function I would like to look at, create path 2, is, like you can see, the second version of the create path function. The algorithm I use for the create path functions start with the node that they are given, then randomly selects a node that they're connected to and adds it to the path. Afterwards, it randomly selects another node and adds it to the path as well. So basically you get a path made out of randomly selected nodes. Unfortunately, this function generates lots of extra paths that are not very good. The difference between the first and second version of the code was the first version generated a bulk amount of paths. The second one, however, checks each path individually after it's generated. That way, if it finds a path, it doesn't generate 200 more.